The storm 310 miles south-southeast of New York City, winds around 85 miles per hour, moving north-northwest at 20. That will put it south of Long Island tonight around 8 o'clock.
Like I said, I had no connection to any type of public service or municipality, so it's more of like a personal level. My parents still live in our childhood house growing up. They're right on the bay in Babylon. My dad is a go down with the ship type of guy, so he wasn't into it being evacuated. He refused to be evacuated. And before the storm really hit, the last thing was, babe, we're gonna just hunker down and ride this out. It'll be okay. And we kind of were like, all right, I'm the youngest of 5, and we went through Gloria there, Irene, Hugo, like anything that you could think of, and our house was always safe. They were a bit elevated, everything was strong, so we didn't really feel like it was the worst thing going into it. But then once the hurricane hit, and I was probably the only area in Babylon Village that kept electric and cable, which was kind of a curse as well. So we were seeing how bad it was getting and everything that was going on. Obviously, we lost all contact with them. My parents stayed throughout the storm. I think I was probably one of the first 10 people down near their area. The next morning, myself and my husband took our paddle boards, put them in the back of his put them in the back of his pickup truck, drove to Montauk Highway, parked right when we crossed, about 1.5 miles up, and paddle boarded all the way to their house. Nobody was really down there yet, and the more we paddled, the worse it obviously saw. For us, I think what was so devastating was seeing what we were paddling through. It was people's lives, kids' toys, clothes, oil burners, wave runners, boats. We were just paddling, and the closer we got to the bay, the worse it was getting. So when we got down, like I said, my parents are one of the last houses down there. When we got to their block and turned, I will never forget the feeling of, I don't know if my parents made this, because it was that bad. This house that was always so strong and kind of indestructible was just hammered. It was like the Great South Bay was just going through the house. They had 8 feet of water. The whole back of their house was ripped off. The doors were ripped off. It was so devastating to see, and the whole neighborhood, the neighborhood that we grew up in and where my parents still are, one house was worse than the next. So it was sad. It was really sad. But they made it, and they were good. And when we got there, they were probably, they just went through so much. The storm, within, I think, the first 3 hours, the whole back of their house ripped off, windows blew in, and then once the water came in, the water surge, it was done. They just went upstairs and waited it out. At that point, it was kind of too late. The compassion and help that people brought, it was just remarkable to see people come together, and that's, what I think got a lot of people through it, and over the past 10 years, or even the 5 since, everybody got, worked harder, they got, their houses rebuilt and lifted, and, with a lot of help, everything worked out. And what you get through makes you stronger. From a small business standpoint, at the time, like I said, I only had the clothing boutiques, and I remember vendors from all over the country sending us boxes and boxes, and we set up racks outside to give clothing away. Babylon Village and also Long Beach, they were hit so hard. People lost everything they had, and in the boutiques, we had 5 feet of water. Everything was just so devastatedly damaged. Moving forward, I think was hard at the time. I think there was a time where it was like everyone just kind of froze for a little bit. Complete shock. I remember maybe a day or 2 after, I don't know when it was, Patrick, but when did Halloween fall? I remember being at my house and someone knocked on the door and I was like, what do you do? Like, what? It didn't even click that it was Halloween, you know, because everything was so fresh and devastating. Like it was, you know, like you were in another world for a little while. Thank you so much to all of the community organizations, first responders that helped everybody get through this horrible time.